misconception too that only big companies need lawyers or only companies that have money. Well, you have a lawyer, Teryn, well, you're Girlz Inc. or, and that's not true, right?
And I get it because it's a chicken or the egg phenomenon, because in theory, once you're in business, you're not a big enough target for somebody to come after you or for something to happen unless you achieve, some level of revenue or some number of employees, or unless you have a commercial space or whatever. And unfortunately, that's not the case. As soon as you start a business, you can be a target. Mm-hmm. And whether it's something the employees are filing fraudulent wage claims, or you've got, like I could run through a whole laundry list of horror stories with some of my very small business clients that have encountered that they really needed. And now I was on the scene with them, but I know there's a ton of businesses out there that are winging it.
Yeah. In our business, it could be someone just happy not with their eyebrows and they want to sue you or take you to court. It could be, it can be copyright infringement in my industry. There's people stealing our photos and our work. I mean, I've had that happen multiple times. I've had to get I have got a case going on right now. Someone using very close to the Girlz Inc. name. And so it's constant, like in our industry. Yeah. So, and those are battles that, like, I believe in delegating, right? I think you're so busy running your company, you have to be focused. And when something like that happens, Gina, when there's a copyright issue, an infringement on your trademark, and things like that, it bothers you so much. You can get caught up in that and in your mind, and that's all you think about, and you become obsessed with it, and you're trying to fight it on your own, and then that takes you away from running your company and growing your company. So I think there's a lot of cases where, I mean, if it's just you renting a 250 square foot room and you see clients, you don't have a store, you don't have anything like that, you service clients, there may be a time that you need a lawyer. So let's segue into, even if there's not an instant going on right now that requires them to have a lawyer, before a situation occurs, should they be out there reviewing lawyers, looking at lawyers, make a connection and a relationship with a lawyer? And if so, how does one do that if they're not going to use a lawyer's service? Because time is money. Right. So if I was a small company, I didn't need you at this moment, but I wanted to make a relation. I have a good relationship with a lawyer and have you in my pocket in case. How would one do that with you?
So with me in particular, we have a series of different, or a bunch of choices as to how you can work with us. We've got, small kind of subscription model things where we talk once a month, or we meet up once a month to make sure that we are getting ahead of stuff.
And those things are like affordable for someone.
Yeah, it starts at $250 a month.
So for $250 a month, because we have a lot of art. We have probably 200, 300 PMU artists just here in Clark County. And we have a big listener list here in Vegas. So if someone here, no, let me ask you this before I go on. Do they have to be in state?
Not necessarily. We do have a lot of clients that we help who are not here in Nevada. It kind of depends on the rules of the state that they're in, whether they will allow us to work. So it's kind of on a case-by-case basis, but we've got clients in like Utah and Arizona and California and Texas. And
so someone listening to this podcast, they like your vibe. They're like, wow, I like her answers. She seems cool. Teryn likes her. So she must be okay. And they need contracts read over, or they need help with you if they're launching an online class and they need you to write, because you should never launch an online class without that legal liability jargon that you did for me. Being out of state, that would be totally cool. Okay. So in town, if someone wants to just make a relationship with you, it could be as little as $250 a month. And now they have a relationship with Gina Bon Jovi.
Right. But everybody who's listening, regardless of whether they're here or elsewhere, should have, you don't want your first call to a lawyer to be when the shit has already hit the fan.
Right.
You want to have a relationship. You want to have somebody you can call. Ideally, you're involving that person before there's an emergency, so that you can head off the emergency.
Yeah.
Like we had a client one time, and I cannot explain this to this day because he was paying us handsomely every month. He had a very big operation. We had a lot. He had access to the whole firm, and we were essentially their in-house legal department. We just didn't take up space in their office. So he was paying us handsomely every month, and he called one day and said, I wired $250,000 to a web design firm in Oklahoma.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't have a website. And we're like, well, when did you wire the money? Oh, 3 months ago when we were involved.
So shouldn't he have ran that by you? Like
he didn't have a contract.
He didn't have a contract.
He didn't even have a contract. He just wired $250,000.
Oh my goodness.
To some random company. Cause like Oklahoma's no offense to Oklahoma listeners, but like that's not really known for its creative hotbed of creatives. Right. So that's the kind of stuff that we try to get ahead of.
Right.
So even if you, and the way you would find somebody is, first of all, ask. Every business owner should have a team. You should have a banker that you can call,
right,
whose cell phone number you have.
Yep.
So not a Wells Fargo, not a B of A. I preferred local banks because you can actually get somebody, and they do really truly care about the prosperity and the success of small businesses. In the
like where you have your business account.
Where you have the business account, yeah.
Yeah, and you should have a banker.
A banker, a person you can call. And I'm not talking the private wealth where you have to have $1 million on account. Right. I'm talking just a human being that you can call and say, hey, there's an overdraft, or hey, I got charged, somebody bounced their check to me. Can you help me out? The banker, the CPA.
Yes.
Because as soon as you're a business owner, this is not your TurboTax. Even though you can do your taxes on TurboTax, you shouldn't, because there are more complications.
Yes. I'm going to have my accountant on here after tax season. We're going to really get into that. So I love that you're mentioning that.
Very important. Insurance.
Insurance.
You want an insurance
yes.
broker, eventually a financial advisor. Once you start making all the money, you got to figure out what to do with it. And a business lawyer.
Yes.
And ideally, even more so, all of those people should work together.
Yes.
So I commonly will conference call with my client, their CPA, maybe their banker if they're doing any sort of financing, me, so that we can all triage anything that's going on, make sure that the advice I'm giving doesn't fly in the face of what the CPA is saying, and vice versa. Yep. Those are the kinds of relationships that you want to forge with the people. And so if you have a CPA you really like, ask the CPA if they know a lawyer. If you have a lawyer you really like, ask the lawyer if they know a CPA. Because typically you can tamp down a lot or reduce a lot of the legwork that you have to do as the business owner by asking for referrals like you did.
But it's true. What you said is true. I mean, it took, and this doesn't come overnight. I don't want people to get overwhelmed. Right. Oh my God, I have to get a banker. I have to get this. I have to get that. I have to get that. It comes over time. You start with one thing first, maybe a banker, and then probably a CPA would be next. Yes. So, you're paying in your quarterly taxes, you're not getting in trouble with the IRS, you learn what's a write-off, what's not a write-off. And then maybe a lawyer. You just one thing at a time get these people in place. And with Kat and I, we do have that team. We have one additional person to that team. Is I also have a bookkeeper, along with a CPA, and she's in all my accounts. She has access to my PayPal account, my Amex business, my Chase account, everything, which was really weird. But she's been with me 8 years now. She works very closely with my accountant and does the P&Ls. And I'll tell you, it's such a beautiful thing when you don't have to deal with your own taxes and P&Ls and this and that. We just, like, Leanne just does everything and puts together these beautiful quarterly P&Ls. I mean, and sends them over to Lisa, our accountant, and then Lisa deals with our financial advisor, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Once you get to that point, it is a beautiful thing. Because I remember the first thing I did, the first sort of outside person that I hired, before I even hired somebody to help me, like an assistant, I hired a bookkeeper. Because while I can do my books in QuickBooks, it was not the highest and best use of my time.
Right.
I hated it. And therefore, to a certain extent, if you hate it, you're probably not going to excel at it either.
No, you're not going to excel at it.
And then to your point about delegation, having somebody else handle that, who has the expertise, who does it on a daily basis, then freed me up to go do more work, make more money, so that I could then hire somebody else, and then you start growing.
Yeah, and that's for sure. And I think I can relate. Just so many people can relate with me. I might have all these things in place now, but I'm almost 22 years in the business. And I only started putting these things in place like 10 years ago, Lisa, to be perfectly candid with people. I think the first 10 years I fought it.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming to me. I felt I couldn't afford these people, these professionals around me. And I was trying to do everything myself, and which left me burnt out.
Right.
And it drained my creative juices. That's all I can say,
Well, yeah.
and
the benefit of being a business owner is to have the autonomy and be your own boss and do those kinds of things. But if you're burn the candle at both ends,
Yeah.
and if you feel like a worn out dish rag at the end of the day, like why?
Yeah.
What's
And
the
you get
point?
used to having these professionals as an expense. You get, at first it's a little like, ooh, yeah. But you get accustomed to it and you get used to it. When you see the amount of work that they do and the amount of time you now have available to work on your course or go do this or just be with your family. It's worth that expense. So that's what I would stress to people is to delegate. If you're in a position to start delegating these responsibilities out to professionals and start one at a time so it's not overwhelming.
There's actually a little exercise I learned in a mastermind group I was part of many years ago where for like 2 weeks you keep a notepad, you carry it around with you, and you write down every single thing that you do for like 2 weeks, which seems very tedious.
Yeah.
And it is. And then you make several columns and you say, okay, is this immediately revenue generating or is it not? And if it's not, that should go on the list of the things that you should delegate. The next column is, are you good at it or are you not? And if you're also not good at it, delegate it. And do you enjoy doing it or not?
Yeah.
Because there could be something that is, maybe not immediately revenue generating that you're really good at,
Right.
that you hate.
Yeah.
And so those things, so anytime you have like zeros in all three columns, that becomes the list of the things you first delegate.
Yeah.
And that's a good way of honing in, because as business owners, and I remember feeling it myself, like I was just so overwhelmed with everything, and I was hiring virtual assistants, and I was trying to hire like a receptionist and somebody to just take some of that like tasky
Right.
stuff off my plate. And I finally was giving up, and I was introduced to somebody, and she approached me exactly the way, because I was so burnt out. She said, just send me something. And if you like how I handle it, send me something else. And I went, okay, fine. And then before I knew it, I was dumping everything, and my revenue went up 104% the first year I had her.
Yeah.
So it seems counterintuitive that you're expending this money on advisors or help or assistants or whatever, but it comes out because it frees you up to do the stuff that you're actually good at, that is making you money.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That was me. Mine was Olivia. I hired Olivia, and she just took over all these things I was trying to do myself. The marketing, which I love.
Sure.
I don't hate it.
Oh, yeah.
I like making flyers. I like the marketing. It's creative, and it's my company that I get to kind of boast and market and have fun with. But it was just so time consuming, like what I'm really good at and what no one else could do. I knew I could find somebody that could get my vibe and end up taking that role from me and be very, very good at it. And we brought on Willow recently because it's getting even overwhelming for Olivia. So, but no one can write educational content
Right.
on our craft, on tattooing, right? There's no one else in the company that can do that. Only I can do, tattoo,
Right.
train, write the content. And so I needed to be free from everything else to be able to do that. And so it worked out really, really well.